What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if the next Life is Strange game will release in 2021. And I'm really hopeful on this. I'm going to walk us through kind of how I see it happening. And the reason I don't say Life is Strange 3, by the way, is because that's kind of a separate issue altogether. We'll discuss all that in this video as well. As always, make sure if you guys do like this stuff, you are subscribed. You guys have the bell icon turned on so when all these videos go up. And if you super like my stuff, I do have a second channel. It's called Podcast Now Plus. I'll leave a link for it in the description below. Would love to have you guys supporting me at either place. Now, I've talked about Life is Strange a very, very long time. I covered, actually, the first game. I covered Life is Strange 2. I covered Before the Storm. And we've talked about this before. We've talked about when will the next game come out, basically. We talked about that several months ago. I really do think 2021 makes sense. Now, again, the issue is not Life is Strange 3. Okay, from Don't Nod, I don't think we're going to get Life is Strange 3 actually for a little bit. It hasn't been all that long since we ended Life is Strange 2. The game started, remember, I believe August of 2018, but the game extended all the way until, like November of 2019? It took, I believe, a full year for the entire game to come out. Now, the question is, do you kind of start the clock on them when the first episode came out? Do you start the clock on them when the second episode comes out? And it's very difficult to do because it's like, what did that team work on in between? Now, obviously, Don't Nod's worked on a lot of things and they're continuing to grow and continuing to expand, but when you release these games, why did it take a full year plus to make the episodes? You know what I mean? A little odd, but the point is, I don't think it's coming from them. The next game, Life is Strange 3, will come from them, but I think the next Life is Strange game we're going to get is going to be from the infamous Deck 9 games, okay? Now, Deck 9, remember, they really kind of started with Life is Strange Before the Storm, all right? In fact, I believe they renamed their company right before that. They weren't even known by Deck 9 before that, and they really didn't work on, they worked on a couple things, but they weren't really well known. In fact, I would argue even right now, in fact, they're actually, I believe they're from Colorado, which is where I'm living right now, which is kind of a nice coincidence, but, you know, they did, I think, an amazing job with Before the Storm. I really, really do. They did such a good job, and I know it wasn't perfect. I know some people have a lot of problems with it. I know some people actually hate it. I really liked it, and I think I especially love the farewell episode. In fact, the farewell episode, I think, is my favorite episode that we've ever gotten from Life is Strange. I think what they demonstrate is that they know the characters, they know the area, they know how a Life is Strange game works. And remember, they had to do, like, a vigorous test. Remember, Don't Nod, like, basically tested them and had them, like, recreate scenes from the first Life is Strange to prove that they were capable. It was actually kind of weird what they had to do to prove that they were going to make a Life is Strange game. But they did it, and they did a phenomenal job. And they've been silent basically forever. For them, it has been forever since we've gotten the game, okay? Now, again, like, what does Don't Nod do in between these games, especially now that they're working on 5, 6 games all at the same time, but they have all of these different studios that are working on it? You know, it's kind of confusing. Like I said, like, when do you start the clock? And because that's when you start the clock, and also, again, like, why don't these games come out in a closer range? Remember, Life is Strange 1, Season 1, came out every 2 months. The first episode came out, 2 months later was the next one. I think in between episodes 3 and 4, it was only 1 month. Remember, they actually, like, lowered it, and then it was back to 2 months. So they kept it very consistent. You look at Telltale was all over the place when they did, game releases, but Deck 9 did a really good job too. Those games were very quick. Within a couple months, all 3 episodes were gone, and the farewell episode was a few months later. It's kind of like a special thing, like, for fun. So the thing is, well, you know, what would it be? I guess that's a good question as well, right? Like, what would it be? I don't know, because if you look at the farewell episode, the way they kind of arranged it was like that. You're saying goodbye, not just in the story of what was happening, right? But you're saying goodbye mainly to Max as, like, the playable main character of Life is Strange. I guess you could argue with Chloe as well, but I took it, I believe they made it a little bit more, like, they, like, told us a little bit more that it was for Max, okay, that we're saying goodbye to Max. And I think that's a tragedy. I love Max as a character. She's one of my favorite game characters. She's one of my favorite female, but not even just female. I mean, she is one of the top ones. I think she's just an amazing game character. I would love to see her come back. I know Hannah Tell has said, like, she would do it, absolutely. So hopefully they can get her back for, like, Life is Strange 3 or do something like that for the future, even though I am aware that they like to jump around, tell different stories, go to different areas. But it'll be interesting to see if Deck 9 is kind of, like, put to the side where it's like, okay, you guys are always going to be in the shadow. And I'm not saying this like they are, or whatever, but like, are they always going to be put in the shadow of Don't Nod? Because while I like Before the Storm, if you think about it, they were kind of constrained. Now I don't know how that happened. I don't know if Don't Nod told them to make a game in that time period, or if they decided themselves. But this next game from them, which by the way, I mean, I guess we are taking the assumption that they are making a Life is Strange game. Technically, they can make whatever they want. They're not owned by Don't Nod. They're not owned by Square Enix. They can make whatever. I just assume because of the partnership, because that's kind of what they're most well known for as of right now, I just feel like that's what comes next for them. And also, by the way, again, like, I do think Life is Strange 3 could potentially start in 2022. I do think like the first episode could, debut in that year. And so it's kind of the same situation we had. I believe Before the Storm was 2017, right? The summer of 2017. Kind of the same thing, where Before the Storm is kind of just to give us a little bit of a game, like to kind of separate time between one game and the other. Kind of like the Batman Arkham Origins argument, right? Where they did City, but then Night they knew was going to take a while, so they're like, all right, well, we need a Batman game to kind of fill in the blanks so that people don't miss it too much, or that people have something to play in the meantime. That's kind of what they did here, right? Maybe people don't want to wait too long for a new Life is Strange game. Let's give them a spin-off game that's familiar to them, all this kind of stuff, and let's give it to them from another developer, because we obviously can't take it from Don't Nod, because, we'll take resources from them. So I think it makes sense to do it again. If the next game comes out in 2022, well, it's been, I guess, again, depending on when you want to start the timer, August of 2018 was when Season 2 started, so it would be 4 years from the start of one to the start of the other. That's a very long time. And so if you have a game, now they've already lost the opportunity to do a game in between, right? To do it in 2020, and then 2022 would be Life is Strange 3. They've already lost that, but I do feel confident. I mean, Deck 9 needs to be doing something. They're not closed. I mean, their office is still open. They're still hiring. Their website is up, all that stuff. It's not like they're doing nothing, but they've been working on something for, at this point, over 3 years. That's a very, for a company, I get it. Like, they're smaller. They're maybe like not as experienced as some of like the AAA, like really big studios. But I mean, come on. Like, it's been, now again, like, you got to be careful, because people will take this wrong way and say, yo, you're demanding it. I mean, I do want a game. I'm not saying like release a game when it's not ready. Okay, I'm not part of like that kind of group, if there even is that kind of group. But at the same time, like, all right, we're approaching 3.5 years. We'll be at 4 years by this summer. Like, how long? Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm interested. I kind of just want to know what's up. You know what I mean? Are you doing a Life is Strange? Are you doing something completely different? And then again, if you do a Life is Strange, is it something familiar? Do we get to see Chloe again? Is it a spin-off of Life is Strange 2, which I pray it's not, because I hated Life is Strange 2. That's just a personal opinion that I definitely know, based off experience on this channel, that not everybody agrees with that, right? I know I'm in the minority of not liking that game, but, could it be a spin-off of 2? It could be another spin-off of 1, or could they just do their own thing? Are they even allowed to? See, we don't know these things. They've never actually said it. So, I'm hopeful. At the beginning of every year, you do have a bigger sense of optimism for a lot of things, right? And I've talked about a lot of game franchises that I hope could return this year, or get a sequel, or get a remaster, or get a remake. I've talked about loads of them. Life is Strange is just another one of them. And I think it helps going into a new year, kind of taking a breath and saying, all right, full year. We got an entire year ahead of us, right? I guess minus a week, because we're already a week done with January, if you guys can believe that. But, we have an entire year ahead of us. A lot of things are possible. And I do think this is a year that, I don't know, do they want it to be? Because 2020 was an entire year without Life is Strange. Do they let that happen 2 years in a row? And by they, I mean Square Enix. Does Square Enix value the property where they say, you know what? We can't go 3 years in between Life is Strange games. We need a little bit more consistency. Okay? So it's a question to you guys. I mean, I'm asking you guys. I think it's definitely possible. Remember, we only have one example of recent memory of how they do this, and I believe they announced Before the Storm at Microsoft's E3 that 2017, and then it came out that August. So there's only like 2 months, or like a month and a half in between when it was announced and when they started releasing the thing. So, I think that's a good sign, because that means, like, hey, even though it's not announced yet, they announced this thing around E3 time. They maybe announced this thing in the spring, whatever. It could come out very soon after, and we could have a brand new Life is Strange series to talk about. All right, so let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think? Do you think there'll be a new Life is Strange game this year? Do you think it'd be 3? Do you think it'd be a spin-off game? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you guys have the bell icon turned on so all these videos go up. Again, if you guys want to subscribe to my second channel, Podcast Now Plus is its name. The link for that is in the description below. And as always, if I see anything, if I hear anything, I'll definitely let you guys know in these videos. I'll be covering Life is Strange when there is a new game, all that kind of stuff. So I covered Life is Strange 2 quite a bit. Got a lot of hate for it. It's okay. I love seeing that kind of hate, and I will see what we can do for the next Life is Strange game, okay? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.